Welcome back inside the Now Morning Show. We're getting ready to kick off the carnival celebrations and information and education and everything in one. This morning, I want to welcome the director of the Educated George, the Educated Group.
Yes.
As I'm like, why is it saying Educated? Anyway, Attila Springer is here with us this morning. And also joining me is, well, I'm going to just call you Ade Sugar because that's your name. Ade Sugar, performer, educator as well. Good morning to you both and welcome to the show.
Good morning.
How are we doing? Happy Carnival.
It's here. The thing has started and it's starting to get wild already.
In so many ways.
So many ways.
But I want to focus on the ways that you are making. It's a little bit wild, but also very educational and informative. Tell me what's happening this year that's different from what you've been doing before.
Well, it's actually not different. Over the past 2 or 3 years, actually since COVID, what we've tried to do is give context to why we do Kambule.
Right.
You know, what we find is that when we have Kambule at 4 a.m. on Carnival Friday morning, we're throwing a lot of information at people, and sometimes people are a bit overwhelmed. They're like, oh, but I didn't know this, and I didn't know this, and I didn't know this. So they're coming at it from a place of absolute innocence and lack of information. And so one of the things that we are trying to do with our Spirit of Carnival season is provide opportunities for people to get information, to get context for what we are talking about when we come to Kambule morning. So that's essentially what we're doing. We have a series of conversations, workshops where people can learn how to make masks, how to apply the principles of traditional masking to making contemporary interventions in the space. All those kinds of things.
When we talk about mask making, I mean like actual wire bending and that kind of stuff, or we talk about conceptually?
Well, both go hand in hand. I mean, conceptually, how do you create something that celebrates the rebellious nature of the carnival, comments on what's going on? I mean, for example, this year our festival has a sustainability focus. And what we're trying to say is that Carnival has always been sustainable for certain people, right? So, I mean, poverty is what makes us use found materials. But here we have an opportunity to say, okay, but if we were to actually make Carnival sustainable, what would that mean in terms of the kinds of materials that we use, in terms of what time we play mass? I mean, you know, the heat is becoming an issue, you know, so, you know, in 10, 15 years' time, what is Carnival going to look like? We need to start having those conversations now so that in the future, we know what actually coming. And those answers to those questions are in the traditional mass. It have nothing that traditional mass ain't preparing us for, right? And this is part of what we want to discuss when we are making mass, when we are talking about mass, and when we are seeing the possibilities for what mass can do for us as a society.
Ade Sugar, tell me about your role in all of this.
My role in all this, the main thing is as a performer, as being a part of Kambule. I've actually been a part of Kambule since I was like 8 years old.
Okay.
When I first came here from Nigeria. So, you know, I got thrown into it in a way that I was so unaware of, but it was a magical experience. Because just a young child comes, my mom is like, you know, come and see this, or see what's going on. And they all have drawn from inspiration from, you know, seeing Muhammad do some particular rules from Freetown Collective. And it was so inspiring to see that particular practices back home in Nigeria are still maintained and are still kept very much intact and sacred when you look at the Kambule rights reenactment and just how it was written and how it's directed, how it's portrayed. It's really cool to see very much, and a lot of people are unaware about this rebellious nature of the carnival. And it's a conversation I like to have all the time because people celebrate, they have fun, but they don't know where this truly comes from. And I can show them that.
And I always find it interesting every year when I see the Juve experience and the Juve expression, that people always tend to think it's so pretty because it's nice and paint up and they show the colors, and without recognizing the fight that it really started off as being, the rebellion that it started off as being. But we have that Kambule riot reenactment every carnival riot to remind us, but now we also have the educational aspect of things that kicking off from this Friday.
Yes. So this Friday we have our first event, which is called Africa in the Carnival. And so Shoga and I are going to be doing a special presentation which looks at some of the elements of African retentions in the Trinidad Carnival, and how they connect to other celebrations in other parts of the Caribbean, and of course to the continent as well. Because it's super interesting. Everybody's talking about Jab in Grenada and Lancet Code in Haiti. It's like, well, what do you think connecting it? It's not. It didn't drop. An alien didn't bring it in a spaceship.
Yeah.
People, and because also the rhetoric that we receive in the education system is that Africans contributed nothing. We don't see the connection between the Mukojambi and African tradition, African spiritual tradition as well. And so, calypso and call and response, etc. So there are multiple ways that we are going to be looking at those connections. Also, we have some amazing performances. We have Keegan Taylor, who is hotting up the scene right now. He's also our trainer for Kambule in terms of getting our performers ready for the stage and understanding that calendar tradition is an important part of the conversation as well. We have Sheena Ajibola Richardson and Egbe Omo Oni Sheshe. I mean, what I could say about Sheena, what I could say, I have nothing I could say. So if you want to come and just have your paws permanently raised for the evening, Sheena. And we are also going to be doing a little teaser performance of Kambule. Because, again, so many people don't make it to Piccadilly on Friday at 4 a.m. So we're doing a little teaser performance. And yeah, we want people to come out and be part of the conversation.
I find it to be a very interesting name, Lacouray and Lakou Wi.
Yes.
What does it mean?
So Lacouray is, like when you're having a heated conversation, right? You make a Lacouray with somebody.
Yeah.
Lakou Wi Lakou is yard.
Right.
It's a Creole word which means yard. And so we have a Lacouray and Lakou Wi because we want to bring people together to have a heated discussion because, people want to engage with the information. And there's lots of information that people don't know. They might dispute, they might say, nah, but that actually come from Congo. And it's like, yeah, but it really have no difference between Congo and Yoruba. Everybody is sharing certain things.
Yeah.
So let's come together, argue, and agree at the end that Africa has played a role in making our carnival the vibrant, beautiful, rebellious celebration that it is.
I understand you also have workshops for children and for adults as well happening.
Yes.
Tell me about those.
So we have a series of workshops which are around sustainability. Those happen on Saturday mornings. So if people want to get involved in those workshops, they need to WhatsApp us at 710-9171, or they can email at attila@idacatergroup.com. Right? So, those workshops cover things like storytelling, drumming, making masks out of found materials, and we also have friends joining us for those things.
Yeah.
So like there's Citizen Bat and all sorts of other people who are going to be passing through.
Where is Lakou Wi for people who don't know?
Lakou Wi is number 12 Warner Street. That's between Picton and Woodford Street in Newtown, Port of Spain. If you know where Buzo Car Park is, you know where Lakou Wi is. Yes.
All right. Nice. Adeshoga, is there anything in particular that you're looking forward to in these conversations?
A lot of things. In fact, drawing the similarities and drawing the references of what was the Africans' contribution to Carnival is something